Claudine.
Hello and welcome to Who Is Best, a show where I, Claudine, take games that give you choices and rate those choices in a tier list. Mario-themed RPGs have always felt right to me. I'm not sure what it is about the Mario universe, but the creatures, world design, and wonky mechanics present in Mario games lends itself perfectly to the RPG genre. Out of all those RPG titles, I will argue that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which I will refer to as PM2, is the best of the best. Now, this title took what Paper Mario on the N64 established and built upon it, nearly perfecting the input-driven, turn-based battle formula. PM2 also carried on the most important tradition of the Paper Mario series: partners. In PM2, you can gain 7 partners in addition to Mario, and none of them are Luigi. These partners will accompany Mario and will receive a turn during battle. Similar to my Paper Mario 64 tier list, I'll be leaving out Mario since he is by far the best character in the game with access to badges, star powers, and possibly the single most broken strat I have ever seen in an RPG. Mario obliterates MP2. So really, when considering partners, we're not just looking at ones that have high damaging attacks or useful skills, but how they complement Mario's build. So join me today by subscribing and liking this video. Also stick around until the end for a bonus list. We'll start with the tier. Miss Mouse is the only optional party member in PM2 and the absolute worst party member in the series. She's pretty much a downgraded version of many other party members from this and the first title. She can pierce defense like Watt from PM1, but is restricted in range. Also, Bobbery does this as well, but does much more damage. Kiss Thief is pretty much useless, and Tease is just a lesser version of Vivian's Infatuate. If you build an entire Mario build around it, Smooch can be useful, but it will never be the better choice. Overall, Miss Mouse is the definitive worst party member in Paper Mario history. The lower tier. The only reason Koops made it past the tier is that Miss Mouse really deserves a tier of her own, and he has Shell Shield, which is one of the best defensive abilities in the game. He'll be an AoE attacker in the early game, but will be quickly replaced once Yoshi is available. On top of that, he is restricted to ground enemies, and he can be flipped over, which losing a turn ends up not being worth the extra defensive point. The mid tier. Bobbery is similar to Bombette in the first game, as he can dish out some of the highest single target damage. His basic attack is probably one of the best for taking out tankier enemies. Overall, he is one of your best DPS, kind of. You see, Bobbery has 2 glaring flaws. Those are that he's restricted to ground enemies, and his abilities are FP expensive, making him a little too restricted to push into the top tier. Flurry is a contentious placement. Many argue that she's terrible and should be in the low tier. Flurry has a mixture of extreme highs and extreme lows. Most of her abilities are absolute garbage aside from Lip Lock. She can use Lip Lock to steal enemy HP, which is useful for a tanky partner like her. She can attack any enemy on the field with her basic attack, and it does okayish damage. Here's the thing though, Gale Force isn't just an attack that makes enemies flee. It's an instant death attack that will give you experience. In the right places, this makes her the grinding queen. If used on lighter enemies or flying enemies, you have a 75% chance of pushing them out of battle and gaining experience, which just can't be ignored. The top tier. Vivian nearly made it to the top of this list due to having some of the best abilities in the series. First of all, her normal attack has a chance of causing burn and ends up being the single best standard attack in the game. Fiery Jinks do awesome damage while also piercing defense and causing burn. And Veil's hiding can keep Mario from being hit by charge attacks. If you can get the timing down, Infatuate can come in clutch with certain enemies. Her biggest downfall is her fire element, which can make her useless in very specific situations. But I wouldn't say those pop up enough to drag her down. The final member of the top tier is Yoshi. Gulp is the best pierce skill in the game, ignoring defense and damaging 2 enemies for only 4 FP. His mini egg skill is great for groups of enemies or boss fights, and with a charge or power up, Stampede is devastating. He'll struggle against defensive foes as his standard attack will always only do 1 damage per hit, but against a normal enemy, if timed right, it will do much more damage than any other standard attack. This has nothing to do with his placement, but the fact that you can manipulate his color is just fantastic. The God Tier. Goombella is the single best character in this game, and there is no debating this. Sure, Goombella is a mid partner through the early and mid game, but once she is upgraded and receives Rallywink, she essentially becomes a clone of Mario. Rallywink gives her turn over to Mario for only 4 FP. If you're running a critical Mario build, this means that he'll attack twice each turn. Take the first turn to focus, then the second to attack, and you will one-shot every single boss in the late and post game. How can you argue with that? Use Vivian or Yoshi until the final upgrades are available. Optimize Mario, switch in Goombella, and watch your enemies melt. And that's our list. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know who your favorite party member is in the comments below. Thank you to all my Patreon members, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Bonus round! My 10 favorite partners in the Mario RPG universe. Number 10, Teepee. Number 9, Bowser. Number 8, Yoshi. Number 7, Peach. Number 6, Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. Number 5, Watt. Number 4, Bo. Number 3, Vivian. Number 2, Bombette. And number 1, Geno.